This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeremy Wolf.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Wolf, and today I'm joined by a husband and wife team. We have Angelique and Tim Gaither with AquaCerts. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. And thanks, as always, to our listeners for tuning in. So why don't we start off from the top? Tell us a little bit about what you guys do at AquaCerts.
So at AquaCerts, we provide basic CPR certifications, first aid, anything that you would need kind of to get into like the lifeguard space or swim lessons. Pretty much that's it. We have a history of lifeguarding. We've lifeguarded for several years on ocean rescue departments and with local pools. And we found that after COVID, there was a severe lack of just lifeguards and swim instructors in general. And one of the barriers to entry that we found was people just couldn't get the classes. So with our experience, we decided to open up a company because we had a lot of people asking us. And here we are, AquaCerts.
Nice. So when did you guys open AquaCerts?
It would have been beginning of this year.
New venture. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's always nice to get a new venture, a new business off the ground. So you both have a background in lifeguarding and in certifications and things like that. Talk a little bit about your journey leading up. Dig a little bit deeper into the background and how you ultimately took the leap to start this company.
Well, I used to swim in high school.
Okay.
And so my goal after high school was to join the Coast Guard. So I became a lifeguard in attempts to prepare myself. And I fell in love with the pool lifeguarding. And then I found out that ocean rescue was a thing. So I trained, worked out at a couple beaches. Then I went to EMT school. And then I went back to the pool on a higher level, so more management type, where I began certifying and gaining my certifications to be able to certify others. And then, I don't know, I fell in love with that part of my job, so we decided to move forward.
Now, did you both meet through this work? Tim, were you also involved with lifeguarding and all that back? Is that how you guys came together initially?
Yeah. I started off as a lifeguard in high school, lifeguarded through college, got my EMT and paramedic, worked as a paramedic in an emergency room for a few years. Wanted to see daylight again because I worked at night. A friend of mine was like, hey, let's get jobs at the beach. So I started working at a local pool, started training for the ocean rescue tests, got the ocean rescue test, became a USLA training officer. And whenever people would come to the beach with aspirations of being a lifeguard, my chief was like, hey, go work with this person. Let's see if we can get them to pass the test. That's where I originally met Angelique a couple of years ago. Moved to work for a nonprofit, became an aquatics director at a large facility. Again, this was right after COVID. So they did not have enough lifeguards to be able to staff all of their pools. So I jumped primarily into like a heavy training role. I got my lifeguard instructor trainer, which is something I spent like a decade chasing. I didn't realize until I got to that position, like I needed that as a prerequisite to be able to get to the course. Made a bunch of different lifeguards. I love teaching. It's kind of like a passion that I have. And this was one of those things that if you love what you do, you're not really working. You know what I mean? So it was nice to make money doing that. But again, being in that space, a lot of different people asked us, like along the side, like, hey, can you do this? Or can you run these types of classes? I recently transitioned away from that role and back to ocean rescue because I wanted to work in the sun and be more active and things like that. But still, a lot of people know our names when it comes to training, just because over the years we've trained so many different people. So when the recertifications come, or where'd you get your class, a lot of word of mouth stuff came. So having our own business just kind of made sense.
Very cool. So walk me through, if you could, just to help me understand, because interview a lot of people on this show that are in industries that I'm completely unfamiliar with. Obviously, there's what you guys do, certifying. Help me understand like what your ideal audience is, who your ideal clients are, and what exactly it is that you do like on a day-to-day basis through AquaCerts.
So through AquaCerts right now, we are primarily doing CPR certifications because, again, there's a big barrier when you're doing lifeguard classes. There's a lot of insurance. You need the pool space to do it. Florida is notoriously thunderstorm prone, so it's hard to run classes. We do have full-time jobs outside of this. So right now we are working with a lot of different gyms to get first aid and CPR certified. So CrossFit gyms, martial arts gyms, summer camps that are coming up. We kind of follow when Florida has its peak season for tourism, we have or are expecting like a busy season right before. So if you hire anyone from 16 all the way up until as long as you can work, and you need a CPR certification, we can help you with that. So a lot of the different summer camps that come by, if they're going to have, let's say 50 kids, they're going to need at least 5 instructors or like staff members to be with those children. And a lot of places want them to be first aid and CPR certified.
Now, you mentioned you both have jobs outside this business. Is the ultimate goal with this business to do it full time, or is this just it is? Okay. So that's all right. So going back to when you started, you said the beginning of this year, what was maybe one of the biggest challenges or obstacles that you faced in launching this new business?
We had a baby in February.
Oh, yeah.
So
that'll throw you for a loop.
Things. Yeah. By the time we were ready to get started again, we had kind of missed our window to train people before the summer started, before the summer camps took off, or before everyone was already trained. So we missed our window there. So we're trying to use now advertising, getting ready for winter break, spring break, summer break, all over again. But yes, we took a little break as we opened.
Yeah. The other major hurdle was becoming a licensed training center. So you have to meet a lot of different requirements in order for you to be a training center. It would be easy. So a lot of CPR businesses will find a large training center and will go underneath their umbrella. But when you pump out the certifications and things like that and complete the classes, at the end of it, it'll say that training center. It wouldn't say AquaCerts. So being able to do the legwork now, so that way when we do our trainings, people can look back at the certifications like, hey, who trained me? It says AquaCerts right there. So it doesn't say, Joe Schmo CPR or something else like that. So that way the business comes back to us. Ideally, this type of business takes 3 to 5 years to be able to start seeing like true returns, because you need to have the repeat clients. A lot of our certifications expire every 2 years. CPR, first aid, and anything in the medical field, a lot of those certifications and licensures expire every 2 years because they're constantly updating with new science, new material, new techniques. So also it's kind of one of those, if you don't use it, you lose it. And how many times is a person performing major first aid or CPR or anything else like that? So when you start getting more and more people coming back and you build a name for yourself, then 3 to 5 years, you start seeing a little bit more return.
Got it. So on the other side of that, obviously, anytime you start a new business, there's a bunch of obstacles and challenges. What's been one of the most rewarding things in getting this thing off the ground for you guys?
Honestly, seeing people get it. Like, that's teaching in itself is a noble pursuit. So being able to teach for ourselves and being able to make our schedule, it helps that we're both qualified to teach all the classes, especially having a new family. So if, a class comes up and a gym needs 6 or 7 people done, it's like, okay, well, let's look at our schedule. Can you teach it? Can I teach it? How does it work out? And having that flexibility and being able to work as a team is really nice. I've seen, some people have some friction between their team members, and we don't have that. So it's really nice being able to work with the person I love.
Very cool. So you mentioned you had a baby earlier this year. Was that your first child, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yes.
The roller coaster. I got a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. So strap in. It's a wild ride.
Do you sleep yet?
Oh yeah. Eventually they'll grow out of that. And,
everyone keeps on telling us eventually we'll be able to sleep. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, no, as soon as you're able to finally sleep, you'll end up having another one and you start all over again. And then you'll go through it. Yeah. So it sounds like you're really busy. You got your hands full, but do you got any free time? What do you like to do for fun when you're not working, when you're not taking care of the baby?
We're water people, man.
Yeah.
Like there's surfboards on the wall right behind the screen. We free dive, scuba dive, go to the beach, teach your little kid how to blow bubbles. Like we are water people through and through. Oh, jiu-jitsu. Yeah, do
I go
jiu-jitsu.
to CrossFit, which is how we got into the gym stuff. So realizing that there was a need for those kinds of people to get certified for the classes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
You both do jiu-jitsu?
No, after the baby, I stopped. I stopped once I got pregnant.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's primarily my sport. I wrestled in high school and into college, and I found jiu-jitsu maybe about 4 years ago. And I was like, oh man, this is great. I miss this.
I had someone on the podcast. I can't remember off the top of my head. He's I think Eddie Bravo accolade. I think 10th level Miami. His name escapes me. I had him on the podcast. We were talking about jiu-jitsu and how incredibly powerful it is in so many ways. It's something that I always wanted to try, and I've still yet to do it. I told him when he was on the podcast I was going to come by and try it, and I still haven't done it. But I keep getting reminded of it, and I will check it out for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, hydrate, stretch, prepare to be humbled. But
that's what I've heard. Very humbling experience.
Much, as vigorous as it'll be, you'll find really good friends and really good people there. Everyone's just going through something in life, and that's what they're out with.
For sure. What would be the one thing that you'd like our listeners to know about AquaCerts?
We will come to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the biggest things, because a lot of places they have like brick and mortar storefronts, and you've got to come to them and they want to pumping out classes on a different schedule. Ideally, we're tailored to what it is that you need. So we've done again, like cleaning companies, gyms, martial arts gyms, a lot of just people who find out that they need their people to be certified and like, hey, how can we get this done? A lot of different companies, you'll go and you'll pay an online class at a certain fee. Then you'll have to pay another fee to be able to have the instructor come out. And then you only see the instructor for like an hour or so while they do your skills check. Okay. We can offer online classes, but have found that people retain the information and actually learn it a lot better through in-person instruction. So instead of having, he's our baby, instead of having to do that route, we will come to you and not only teach you the CPR and the first aid, but we'll walk through your facility and kind of do like a little bit of like risk management. Like, hey, these are some things that you should think about. If you do have an AED, where's your AED placed? Where's the best place to put your first aid equipment? What type of first aid equipment do you really need? Because you can go on Amazon and you can spend $200 buying a big old kit. But let's say, you're at a CrossFit gym. It's like, hey, you're going to need a SAM splint, or you're going to need some elastic bandages, because we're going to have to work more on splinting than we are going to have to do other things like that. So kind of figuring out what your company needs or what your business needs, and tailoring our class towards that. We're still going to teach you all of the material because we have to, it's by standard, but these are some extra things to look out for at your facility.
How can our listeners learn more? For anybody out there that's listening that would like to go through the certification or would like to learn more, how could they reach you guys?
Well, we have a website up, so it's AquaCerts.com. You can find more information there, our email, our contact information. Reach out to us. Let us know what you're looking for, when, how many people. And we're pretty quick about getting back to you.
Yeah, just fill out the contact card and we'll get back out to you and figure out what exactly it is that you need.
Very cool. We will, of course, drop a link in the description below to all of your contact information. Guys, thanks for joining us today.
No, thanks for the opportunity.
No, it's our pleasure. And thanks, as always, to our listeners for tuning in. And we will catch everyone next time on the next episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Everyone take care. Have a wonderful day.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, Cooper City. To nominate your favorite local business to be featured on the show, go to gnpcoopercity.com. That's gnpcoopercity.com, or call 954-231-3170.